In our last video, we ended by sending the Capture One Live link to the session to our client so she could pick out her favorite shots. And in this video, we're going to start combing through some of those and doing some initial color correction and color grading. All right, so Mackenzie has gone through and she's looked at these and she picked the green ones that she wants edited. The red ones here, the red tag, are going to be for bloopers. So kind of some funny shots that we took in the shoot. But let's start with the green ones here. So initially, we're going to do some color correction, color grading on here, but I'm just going to look through, kind of get an idea of, I mean, I remember obviously taking these shots, but just kind of get an idea of what sort of color grading we might want universally. Let's switch into adjust, and let's do an auto white balance just to see how that looks. That's not bad, but we could probably do a better white balance just by picking here. Then we're going to make it a little bit warmer just to match her outfit, and the couch kind of has a nice warm vibe to it, I think. Just kind of what we were going for this particular set of shots here. Bring the highlight down a little bit so it's not, I don't want it to be pure white, completely blown out, but I do want to have a little, mostly, I mean, obviously it's a white background and it's very bright, which is what we're going for, but I do want to make it not pure white so you can see a little bit of the edge of her shoulder there. Hit Control B to make it a little bit easier to see. So I didn't want it blown out completely, so you can't see that, but bringing some of that back makes it easier to see her shoulder there. There we go. Crunch the levels a little bit. And then adjust the curves. And in this part here, what I'm looking at is inner hair, some of that detail in there. So you can see some of the detail, especially in the shadowy areas that we're able to get, as opposed to, when it was just flat. Pull a little bit more of that out. It's all about the subtlety for each of the color grading tools that we have. There's not one that's going to, be an all-in-one fix, but we can merge some of those, or I should say, use them all together on top of each other to get the best results that we can. So pretty straightforward here, I think. Going for a very minimal look, obviously. There are probably going to be some more advanced editing that we want to do to get rid of this. Maybe it looks like that leg is just kind of floating there, which looks kind of strange. So we'll look at that later on. But for now, we're just looking at the color grading. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to hit Control-Shift-C. It'll be Command-Shift-C if you're on a Mac. I'm just coming in, copying the adjustments. And then I'm going to paste those into the other shots that are similar. So let's try all the way down to this set. So we switched the location there, obviously, or the background, I should say. Let's make sure that these look good. Just copying, we don't need to do any additional adjustment. I might want to do a little bit more on some of these, bringing up a little bit of the blacks in the shadowy areas. Yeah, just bring out a little bit more detail in her hair for some of these closer up shots. There we go. Nice. Okay, so pretty simple and straightforward for that set. Let's look at this one here. Again, do an auto to start with, just to see. I'm going to again make it a little bit on the warmer side to match the overall look. Bring up the exposure. Let's crank the saturation a little bit. It's feeling a little bit dull with that background, but I remember what the background originally looked like. It wasn't that dull. I mean, it was that color, but not that dull. A little bit more brightness to it, or saturation, I should say. A little bit of contrast there. Actually, we'll bring this down a little bit. And we'll bring up the shadows some in her hair. There we go. And a little bit of curves adjustments. This should be pretty minimal. There we go. Yeah, super minimal for that. Okay, so let's Control-Shift-C, copy, and go all the way down to, we started shooting into the mirror, so we're going to have these here. Let's look at these. There we go. Paste. That's not too bad. So I knew the lighting on these looking into the mirror would be different because the way that we had this set up was not against this back wall. Mostly, so you could see a little bit different. It didn't just seem to blend in. You could see the kind of the edge of the mirror. I thought that it blended a little bit too much. And then also, this was actually a photo meetup. So there were some other people in the studio sharing the same studio space. So I didn't want to get any of them in the shot either. So it was a little bit of creative angling to get the shot we wanted without getting, without interfering with some other photographers and models that were working in the same studio at the same time. So for this, let's come in. I'm going to take, let's see if we can get rid of some of this. See the bluish hue from the light. I'm going to see if I can bring some of that out or take some of that out. I'm not worried too much about it right now because we might be able to use Luminar. Luminar has a great slider for removing some of that color cast, but I just want to take a touch of it out here, and then we'll try some more in Luminar as well. There we go. All right. Now take that, paste, so you can see the before and after, what they look like as we're brightening them up. And I think we should be good through probably these that are facing that way. Yeah, so these are obviously going to need some cropping and such, but all right, so let's try pasting this, see what it looks like. Nope. Copy, paste. This is a little bit better. I'm just going to go ahead and reset and let's start from scratch. So we'll adjust that, bring it up. I'm going to actually, let's sample from the back to see how that looks. Because I know that this is a white, that was a white curtain to help diffuse some of the light that was coming in. There we go. Trying to bring that up a lot more. Let's bring the highlights back down. Give ourselves a little bit more contrast there. There we go. Adding in some more contrast. And adjusting our curve. So I'm a lot happier with that. So this one, pretty dramatic difference that we have there with the before and after. So let's take this, copy. We only have a couple more of this one. Yep, that's good. This one is a little bit harsh. Let's go ahead and we'll reset and we'll do this one. We'll make this the last set that we do in this particular video before we take a break and then come back for some of these other ones that are quite different. Go, some saturation. I also happen to know, so this is something too when you're talking with your clients. I happen to know that she likes a lot more saturated type shots too. So part of editing is not just what I like, but it's also what the client likes, because end of the day, it's them in the picture, or it's their pictures, and you want them to be happy. So there's definitely my own creative freedom to the photography, but I also tailor a lot to the client, or in this case, the person that I'm shooting. So I know she likes a little more saturation in her shots, just from talking to her about it and asking her about that and editing preferences and such, and some of the shots that we've done in the past. And so I'm going to try to push that a little bit more than I probably normally would. Not so much, not crank it up so it's so crazy, but just a little bit more there. There we go. And then we'll paste this. That, maybe bring the highlights down a little bit for that one, which means we'll probably want to Control-Shift-C, copy that and paste that. So Control-Shift-V, yeah. And then we'll try this. Oh, that's really blown out. Okay, let's, this one here. So this was actually in a different location, same studio, but different location within the studio. So the lighting was obviously a little different. All of these were in a natural light studio, which was a lot of fun to do. I love shooting with natural light, especially if I'm shooting like in this was somebody else's studio, rented out, and it was, when you're shooting somebody else's studio, unless they have the equipment that you're familiar with, a lot of times that means bringing your own equipment, which can be a lot of lugging stuff around, which is worth the shot if you need to. But some studios are set up to be natural light studios, at least in my experience, and this was one of them. That was why they had the diffuse over the window. It's angled in a way that the sun is coming in at a certain time, coming in through the big glass windows to get some nice diffuse light throughout the entire studio. So you're able to take advantage of that. Okay. There we go. All right. I like that. Okay. Again, very warm tones, which is what we're going for. Kind of a very fall-y feel. But okay, so we're good here on these first few, but as you can see, we still have a few more left to edit. So let's go ahead and end this video here, and we'll continue on with our color grading in the next video.